The beautiful Christmas wreath. It means when you put it on the door that the loved ones that passed, their soul lives on. How beautiful is that? The Romans used to put wreaths on their doors to symbolise their wealth and power. And also the women would wear them for weddings and special occasions. And of course the emperors wore their laurel wreaths for power. The Greeks used to love their wreaths too. The story of Apollo, which I will tell you later. But that meant triumph, and the Greeks would give them out at the Olympic Games as honour and triumph. There's a beautiful story of Apollo and Daphne, very sad. In Greek mythology, Eros plays a nasty trick on Apollo and Daphne. He fires a sharp golden-tipped arrow which pierces the heart of Apollo, inflaming his love for Daphne, a beautiful nymph daughter of the river god Peneus. The blunt tip of the arrow, he strikes the nymph, and this causes an aversion to love. Apollo tells Daphne how much he loves her and adores her and needs and wants her, but she is repulsed. Daphne runs away with Apollo in pursuit, and when she reaches the river where her father lives, she calls to her father, "Help me, help me!" And her father turns her into a tree. Daphne is turned into a laurel tree. Apollo embraces the tree and calls to Daphne, "Why do you hate me so much, Daphne?" And she replies, "I do not know." He is so sad he embraces the tree for ages, and then he pulls down some laurel and makes a wreath that he wears upon his head. Daphne is Greek for laurel. The word wreath comes from the Old English word ritha, which means to twist. We love making these beautiful wreaths and putting them on our doors every year. There's so much history with the laurel. That is God's victory over the devil, and we all love the laurel because it is long life and evergreen. There's a lovely story to do with holly. You take a piece of holly, 9 leaves, preferably not the ones that are all prickly. You then take a lovely white cloth, wrap them in it, tie 9 knots, put it under your pillow, go to sleep, and when you wake in the morning, all your dreams will come true. Ivy is protective, and that's why you see them in wedding bouquets, because through the ages they have been used as protection. Ivy grows in dense forests where a lot of things can't grow and can cover the almighty oaks. So the Druids thought that ivy was very, very special indeed, and that had lots of power, protective power. Holly, being prickly, can be good and bad, depending on which way it's used. And so can ivy, but they are both protective and are used in so many things. Also, with Bacchus, if you crushed the berries, although very poisonous, this would cure a hangover. Bacchus is the Roman god of wine and festivity. He wears a crown of ivy. Ivy is sacred to Bacchus. He is the inventor of wine. Sometimes he's seen in a chariot pulled by leopards. The Romans used to make a wine out of ivy, not for the faint-hearted. Old inns would put up signs with Bacchus on wearing his lovely ivy and grape wreath. This would mean that their ales and their wine was of the very best quality. The Greek version of Bacchus is Dionysus, the son of Zeus and Semele. He, too, could be good or bad. He carries a wand, a thyrsus, and it can be covered in ivy and dripping with honey for good, but it can also be used as a weapon for anybody who opposed his ways. We all love our Christmas food, our mince pies, our Christmas pudding and Christmas cake. How far back do they go? What's 12th night cake? What's the night of misrule, where we have a king of misrule and a queen of misrule? In the 12th night cake, it's two sides, and one side is a cooked bean for the king of misrule, and the other side is the queen of misrule, which is a pea. And whoever gets these, they are that king or queen of misrule, and all kinds of things and carry-ons happen. 12th night cake was the centrepiece of the table. The richer you were, the more elaborate and beautiful it could be. The icing was rather hard because it had so much weight on top with all the ornaments and things to make it look as good as it possibly could. The whole night would be of games and feasting, led by the king of the bean and the queen of the pea. Later on, they were replaced with silver trinkets, thimbles and charms. And the nearest thing we have now is our Christmas cake. Christmas pudding used to be more like a porridge that I'd have the night before Christmas, after their fasting. It was something to eat before the big festivities. And it was more like a porridge called frumpty, not like the lovely Christmas pudding that we know today. Christmas puddings have changed quite a lot. In the 14th century, when they were called frumpty, they were filled with beef, mutton, raisins, prunes, wines and spirits. By 1595, it became plum pudding, which was thickened with eggs and breadcrumbs and fruit. In 1650, Christmas pudding became more of a dessert like we know today. Prince Albert in the 19th century loved his Christmas pudding, and it became very popular as a dessert. Christmas puddings would sometimes have a bachelor's button put in them, and if a single man picked out the button, he would stay single for the following year. If a female found a thimble, which was known as the old maid's thimble, then she would be single for the following year. But if you found a ring and you were single, you would either be married the following year or be rich, and if you were lucky, you could be both. We all love watching the flames on the Christmas pudding and making a wish, and I think this year we will all be wishing for a happier, healthier, safer year. There are lots of things, good luck, to do with Christmas. Have you heard of Stir Up Sunday? That was roughly about 5 weeks before Christmas, when the mixture of the pud needed to be stirred. And so each member of the family would take it in turns, it must be clockwise, to stir the pudding. And this was good luck for the following year for the whole family. Also, for good luck, you used to, in medieval times, eat a Christmas pie. Remember, it was meat and not fruit then, every night till 12th night, and this was good luck. I think I like that one. Mince pies were originally filled with meat, dried fruits and spices, and sometimes they were oval shaped to represent Jesus in the manger, like this picture where it's got the little baby on top. Also, they would make these pies really elaborate all through the ages to put on the table, and they would be so big, and the more money you had, the more elaborate they were. Fir trees represent everlasting life, death and rebirth. There's a lovely story about the Christmas spider, where this couple are so poor they can't buy gifts for their children or get a tree. So they plant this acorn and it grows into a tree. And then they all go to bed at night, and when they wake in the morning, the Christmas spider has spun a beautiful web in gold, and the children look in awe at this beautiful tree. The Romans used trees to decorate their temples for Saturnalia. They loved the knees up, so when they left the temple and returned home, they would party. The slaves would change places with their masters, and they would be in charge for the evening. All kinds of mischief and games were played. The ancient Greeks used to decorate their temples as well with trees and fill them with lovely fruits. So just like us, with our Christmas tree, all through the ages, fir trees have been decorated and put in their homes. From the 16th century, turkey or goose has been served for Christmas dinner. But in the medieval times, it would have been a boar's head that was dressed in rosemary. Rosemary represents friendship, and it also wards off evil spirits. This would have been carried by a servant above his head, and a big entrance would be made to put it in the centre of the table. In Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, published in 1843, Scrooge sends Bob Cratchit a massive turkey. Well, turkeys were expensive then for most people, but they were able to serve more people than a goose, so they become very popular for the larger families at Christmas time. We told you all about the reindeer team for Father Christmas and all about their characters in part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. When did Rudolph join the team? Well, he joined them in 1939. I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of our Christmas special. We've certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. I hope you're going to join us in the new year for more fun, fact and fiction. But until then, I hope you all have a very happy Christmas and a very happy New Year. Cheers!